Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling something that, well, it might sound a bit everyday, maybe even mundane,
Uh-huh.
but trust me, it opens up a fascinating window onto some really massive global trends.
Yeah.
We often find the biggest stories in the simplest things.
Absolutely. Sometimes the most ordinary objects tell you the most.
Exactly. So our mission today is a deep dive into the global smoothie maker market.
Smoothie makers.
Yes, you heard that right. We're working from a report here. It's called Global Smoothie Maker Market Projections to 2033, and it's from Cognitive Market Research.
A pretty comprehensive look, then.
It really is. So the plan is to unpack these, frankly, incredible growth figures,
Yeah.
find out where the hot spots are,
Yeah.
where this market's really taking off,
Okay.
and figure out what this simple appliance tells us about how people are living, eating, buying things all over the world. Okay, let's unpack this, because honestly, the numbers are startling.
Yeah, what's fascinating, I think, is how one single product category like this can mirror these huge shifts in lifestyle consumer priorities.
Right.
It's not just about the gadget itself, is it? It's about what people value now, where they're putting their money, those bigger economic ties.
Startling is the word. When I first glanced at these projections, I was genuinely taken aback. The sheer scale of it,
Yeah.
the growth, it's way bigger than you'd think.
It really is. The report lays it out very clearly. Rapid expansion. So get this. Back in 2021, the global market, already nearly $3 billion.
Wow, $3 billion.
Yeah, 2,936.96 million to be exact.
Yeah.
And that's just the starting point.
Okay.
By 2025, it's projected to jump over $4.1 billion. And then by 2033, we're looking at almost $8 billion.
$8 billion. Seriously.
7,991.94 million, yeah. And maybe even more impressive is the overall growth rate, the CAGR, compound annual growth rate. A really robust 8.7% for that whole period.
So wait, let me get this straight. You're telling me this market is basically set to triple in just over a decade. For a kitchen appliance, that feels like more than just a trend. That sounds like a real shift.
Exactly. If you connect the dots, that kind of consistent, strong growth.
Well, it strongly suggests a deep, sustained global appetite, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It points to those more fundamental changes in how people live, how they eat across the globe,
Yeah.
maybe a move towards things that feel healthier or more convenient.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting, at least for me. Looking at the data, this growth isn't happening the same way everywhere, is it?
Not at all. That's a key takeaway.
The picture's not uniform. Some places are just booming, while others are more steady. Where's the heat? Where are things really blending fastest?
Right, let's break that down region by region. The absolute powerhouse for growth, that's Asia-Pacific, APAC.
Okay.
It shows the strongest growth by a long shot. Projected to more than triple its market size, it went from about $740 million in 2021 to a projected nearly $2.5 billion by 2033. That's a CAGR of over 10.3%.
10% growth year on year for a whole region. That's huge. Which countries are really pushing that within APAC? Good question. So India actually leads the pack. Highest individual country CAGR there, almost 11% annually.
India, wow.
Yeah. China's right behind, over 10.7%. And Japan's strong, too, just over 10%. It really paints a picture, doesn't it? Rapidly urbanizing places.
Right, health convenience.
Exactly. People wanting quick, nutritious stuff for busy lives. Yeah, maybe smaller kitchens in cities, a smoothie maker fix. Australia and Singapore are also notable, both over 10% as EAGR, too.
Okay, so APAC is the growth engine. What about North America? It's
Yeah.
usually a huge market for appliances.
It is. It was the market leader back in 2021, actually, over $1.1 billion then.
Right, still growing.
Oh, yeah. Projected to hit nearly $2.9 billion by 2033. That's a solid CAGR, close to 8%, almost 7.97%.
And the U.S. is the bulk of that, I assume.
Absolutely. The U.S. accounts for, well, the lion's share, growing by nearly 7.9% annually itself. But Canada and Mexico are also showing strong growth, interestingly, both over 8% CAGR.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's a massive market, maybe more mature in some ways, but still expanding at a very healthy clip.
So North America's huge, still growing steadily, but APAC is where the explosive growth is. What about emerging markets? South America, Africa.
Yeah.
Are they gaining traction?
They definitely are. South America is another strong one. CAGR, just over 9%.
9%, okay.
Yeah, revenue going from about $200 million to over $600 million by 2033. Brazil's the leader there, 9.3% CAGR, pretty impressive. impressive.
Africa?
Africa's showing real momentum too. CAGR just under 9.5%, so growing from around $91 million to nearly $300 million.
Right.
South Africa leads the way there, 9.5% CAGR. It suggests this whole health and wellness convenience thing is really spreading,
Yeah.
beyond just the traditional big economies.
Makes sense. Any other regions standing out?
Well, the Middle East also shows robust expansion, over 9.2% CAGR.
Okay.
Market growing from about $120 million to over $375 million. And Turkey actually has the highest country CAGR in that region, 9.6%.
Interesting. And Europe? Usually a stable market.
That's pretty much the story here. Steady, established growth. But its regional CAGR is the lowest of the bunch we've discussed, just over 7.2%.
Lower, but still growing significantly in dollar terms.
Oh, definitely. Expanding from just under $600 million to nearly $1.4 billion. So still more than doubling.
Right.
The UK and Germany are the biggest players there. UK around 7%, Germany a bit higher at 7.6%. But what's interesting is the rest of Europe category actually has the lowest CAGR in the whole report, like 5.8%. Suggests maybe parts of Europe are more saturated or the trend hasn't caught on quite as strongly everywhere yet.
So putting it all together, what does this mean for you listening?
Yeah.
We're seeing this truly global thing happening, but it's not monolithic. Clear regional leaders, different speeds, but maybe driven by similar core needs.
I think that's right. And it raises that big question, doesn't it? Beyond just the numbers, what's really fueling this global appetite? Because these figures, they aren't just about blenders. They reflect these bigger currents. You mentioned health consciousness. That's huge. People are actively looking for easy ways to get more fruits, more vegetables.
Quick and easy.
Exactly. Convenience is probably just as powerful. A smoothie is fast. It's portable. Fits into busy schedules.
Right.
And urbanization, too, maybe. More people in cities, perhaps smaller living spaces, needing compact, efficient tools for healthier, quicker food prep.
And the data seems to show how those factors play out differently depending on where you are in the world.
Precisely. Different stages of economic development, different lifestyles, but the underlying drivers seem quite universal.
It's really quite something. Thinking about this, this simple smoothie maker market nearly tripling globally, hitting almost $8 billion by 2033. That's a massive shift in what people eat and how they make it.
Yeah, this deep dive really shows how looking closely at just one category can, reveal these powerful economic and social currents. And knowledge like this is most valuable when you connect it, right? Think about how these patterns, health, convenience, technology adoption, might be showing up elsewhere in your life or in other markets.
Absolutely. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other everyday items, things we barely notice, might be quietly exploding in these multi-billion-dollar global industries right under our noses?
Welcome to the deep dive. We give you that shortcut to being, really well informed. We dig through the sources, pull out the key insights, and lay it all out for you. Today, we're diving into something you probably see almost every day, maybe even use every day, the Global Smoothie Makers Market. Our goal here is to unpack what's really going on, the trends, the sticky points, the important stuff shaping this kitchen staple. And just so you know, all the great insights we're discussing, they come straight from cognitive market research. So maybe you've got a smoothie maker, maybe a friend does, or maybe you're just wondering what's next for kitchen gadgets, but what's actually behind the boom in these things and where is it all heading? Okay, let's get into it. So clearly this market is growing, but what's really pushing it forward? What are those core drivers that cognitive market research is pointing to?
Yeah, it's interesting. The main thing isn't just people want to be healthy. It's deeper. It's this real surge in health consciousness, but tied very specifically to tracking nutrition. People are really paying attention now. They want to know their macros, proteins, fats, carbs, and they want easy ways to hit those targets.
Right.
And smoothies, they're just a super accessible way to control exactly what you're putting in your body. It's way beyond just vaguely eating healthy.
That makes a ton of sense. And you can see how it plugs right into that huge fitness and wellness wave, can't you? I mean, protein shakes, energy smoothies, they're not just for hardcore gym folks anymore. They're kind of standard practice for anyone really focused on their fitness.
Exactly.
But does that health trend have a ceiling? Or are there other little trends popping up that keep feeding the demand for these makers?
It's definitely evolving, not just plateauing. Beyond the gym connection, you've got this big overlap with the rise in home cooking and prepping healthy meals yourself. People are much more into making fresh drinks at home now instead of grabbing something pre-made or from a cafe.
Uh-huh.
And they want it to be, cost-effective too. So investing in a smoothie maker starts to look pretty smart. And what's really clever is how brands are leaning into this, offering recipes, nutritional info, making that home prep habit stickier. So, yeah, you pull it all together, and the growth comes from this mix. Those personal nutrition goals people have, the sheer convenience of doing it at home, and increasingly, the fact that they're getting more affordable because of competition. It's a pretty potent combination. Hard to argue with.
It really does make you think about how your own health goals end up influencing what gadgets you decide to buy for your kitchen, doesn't it? Okay, but it can't all be smooth sailing, right? Every market hits bumps.
Yeah.
What about the less easy parts? What are the main challenges or restraints that cognitive market research flagged?
Right. That's a key point. Sustainability and just market health. A huge one is simply the intense competition and market saturation. I mean, just picture the store shelves, right? You've got the giant appliance companies, but also tons of smaller startups all fighting for your attention.
Yeah.
And that naturally pushes prices down, which sounds good, but it also forces brands to differentiate in sometimes superficial ways, like focusing on color instead of maybe core function.
And with all those choices, yeah, I can totally see how price becomes a really big deal, especially maybe in developing markets where those fancy feature-packed models are just too expensive for a lot of people.
Absolutely. And it's not just the initial price tag either. Something that often gets glossed over is durability and maintenance. A lot of the cheaper models, maybe they use less robust materials like certain plastics that crack easily instead of stronger stuff like Triton. They just wear out faster. And that leads to unhappy customers, obviously. They won't buy again. And it really can trash a brand's reputation over the long haul. Save a buck now, lose trust later.
Have you ever bought something like that? Maybe even a blender. And you use it a few times and it just feels flimsy or it breaks way too soon. It definitely makes you second guess what you actually paid for. Okay, so if things like portability are pushing growth, but competition is super tight, what's coming down the pipeline? What's the next innovation? Are these blenders starting to do things we wouldn't have expected?
Oh, for sure. Things are definitely moving.
Right.
One of the biggest trends, and it's really changing things, is the boom in portable and personal-sized blenders. These aren't the big things taking up counter space. They're small, often USB rechargeable, made for that on-the-go life.
Right, the little ones.
Exactly. Super popular with city commuters, students, people traveling. Perfect for just one serving. Blend it right at your desk or in the gym locker room. It feeds that need for instant results.
And it's getting fancier than just being small and battery-powered, isn't it? We're hearing about smart tech getting integrated, connected devices. Are we talking truly smart blenders here? Or is it more just, Bluetooth connectivity, things like maybe AI presets for mixing, apps that do more than just give you recipes, maybe track your nutrition?
That's exactly where it's heading. And the really game-changing part isn't just adding Bluetooth for the sake of it. It's about fitting into this whole IoT ecosystem, the Internet of Things. These tech upgrades, they're definitely aimed partly at grabbing that younger, tech-focused crowd, no doubt. But it's more than just marketing. It actually enhances the whole experience. We're seeing blenders that can say, weigh your ingredients, automatically pick the best blending cycle, and yes, sync up with your health apps to log your nutrition.
Wow.
It basically turns making a smoothie from just, blending stuff into a connected part of your overall health routine.
Huh. Imagine that a blender that doesn't just make the smoothie, but it knows what's in it, helps you track your macros, maybe even suggests recipes based on your specific diet goals for the day, linked to your fitness tracker. It really is pushing the idea of what a kitchen appliance can even do. So there you have it, a pretty comprehensive look at the Global Smoothie Makers Market. We've covered the big growth drivers like health tracking and home cooking. We've looked at the hurdles, the intense competition, the durability issues, and we've peeked into the future with portable designs and some pretty sophisticated smart technology. And thanks to those insights from cognitive market research, you've now got that shortcut, that solid understanding of a market lots of us bump into every single day. So here's something to chew on. If smart tech can revolutionize something as, seemingly straightforward as a smoothie maker, what other everyday kitchen gadget do you think is maybe next? What's quietly sitting there just waiting for a high-tech makeover that changes how we use it completely? Thanks for joining us for this deep dive today.